Hello everyone, this is Ron, aka Prognaut, with my first progressive rock review on YouTube. I want to do these two because the first one is very special because this was my introductory to the band Glass Hammer, Chronometree. Now, they just recently remastered this with an extra bonus track, and I gotta tell you, the original was great. This thing surpassed that into, I can't even think of a good enough adjective. Super duper fantastic. I mean, it just pops right out. I listen to this in my car stereo. I popped it in my Blu-ray player to listen to it that way. Just fantastic. If you have the original edition, this is one you must upgrade. This is one of those few remasters of that I would recommend getting, especially if you like the original. Now, this was the most, up until that point, this was the most unique of the Glass Hammer catalog, and even before, I'm going to call it a sequel, a part two. I'm not exactly sure how you would, a continuation of the story, but even up until Chronomonaut was released, this was still very unique sounding in the Glass Hammer catalog. They're primarily from the past almost 2 decades since this one. I've released more symphonic, with the exception of one album. I cannot remember the name of it, where they decided to kind of go a little more mainstream, which that one got mixed feelings. I liked it, everything I like, everything that Glass Hammer has put out that I own, I've liked. I mean, some more than others, but there's honestly never been a bad recording. Now, I will have to say that the past 2 albums, I don't own. I just limited budget, so I've been picking and choosing what CDs to buy over the years, and I know I need to get those. So I have almost a complete catalog. I need to get their new live album, and I think that's it. And then I need to get some of their concert DVDs, but I'll get those eventually. This was an interesting concept album. Excuse me. Most concept albums are, about fantastical things that are happening. This one is like a concept album within a concept album, because this character, the main character Tom, is getting messages in his records, his Prog records to be exact. So it's kind of just an interesting thing. I mean, I love this. Every single one of this is one of those few albums that, the minute I start it, I have to play it all the way through. I can't stop it, or else it just feels wrong. It's just one of the CDs that you have to listen to all the way through. So you set aside time and you listen to it, and it is amazing. And each time you listen to it over and over, it just gets more and more amazing. The melody, it's not overly complex, but it's not a mainstream thing either, because you're always hearing something a little new and different. And with this remaster, you get to hear even more sounds that were buried in the mix in the original one. I mean, gotta love technology. You can pull out the sounds that are needed, and there's none of that crazy what they call recordings. You know how they do it, the loudness where they think loud equals a remaster. It's like that's not always something that's crisp, and you can hear all the instruments, plus any of the instruments that were in the background uh, that were buried originally. You get to hear them now. It's almost like listening to it for as listen to it as you listen to it for the first time. I mean, and then of course it has a nice bonus track, a live thing of Chronometry, really cool. Now we're going to get on to the new one. Now, this is the continuing adventures of Tom. Oh, see, I got my signed copy and a nice little thank you note. And you guys are very welcome. Put out great music, so I do my best to support the progressive rock scene, especially bands that are not on major labels, that don't have good enough publicity, because they're doing it all on their own, and these guys are doing it on their own, and this is a wonderful follow-up to Chronometry. Chronomonaut, kind of interesting, it's just a further adventures. Now, the only similarity, other than the themes in about it, music-wise, is in the beginning of the first track, kind of a light piano, kind of recap of the theme of Chronometry. But other than that, it's one of these things that doesn't rehash anything else. It uses that as like an intro, kind of like how some of the TV shows go previously on, and they'll kind of give you a little kind of recap saying, hey, this is what we did before. Now we got something new. And new it is. Again, this is now the second unique sounding album in the Glasshammer discography. And that's what I like with bands, that they don't this one didn't rest on their laurels. Yeah, they could have. I heard some reviews saying, yeah, they could have continued with their symphonic sound and still would have sold a lot of copies. I mean, still would have been a popular release, in the progressive rock world. Yeah, but they're a progressive rock band, so they need to do something different, but not for the sake of being different, but different because it's like, hey, we did that before, now let's do something new, something fresh. And they add instruments, I mean, horns, not that often do you hear, of the, band like this using horns. I mean, usually horns are like in jazz or fusion, and there are some fusion moments, and then there's some, they have some epic tracks on here too, All of them, it's epic sounding, but they have, long tracks, but all in all, I mean, if I had to really say, if someone, said which two are your favorite from the Glasshammer catalog, I'd have to say these two. I mean, they're both highly recommended. I can't, I just love, and I'm so lucky that almost 10 years ago I got to see them at the 3RP Festival in Pittsburgh in 2009. I was glad to got to see them live, and they were great live. I enjoyed them, and I got to speak with a few of them afterwards. And I've stayed in contact on Facebook and now recently Twitter with them, especially with Steve. Um, these guys, just amazing musicians, put out fantastic music. These two were part of a package that pre-order package that I missed, and because I didn't have the money at the time. But the second I got the money, I ordered them both without hesitation. I ordered them, and I ordered them directly from them. I'll put a link down below to their website, so you buy stuff directly from them, so at least they could get to pocket more of the profits, because they're a very well deserving band, and I've said it online before, and these guys are one of two of my favorite modern American prog bands. The other is Echoland, but those two bands there are just amazing. They're consistently progressive. I mean, there's other really good American prog bands out there today too, but they tend to stay in a rut. I'm not going to name any of them because that's not the point. The point is, these guys are progressive rock. Textbook definition. I don't know what else more to say, except if you haven't bought these two, buy them. Link below. And thank you, and I hope you enjoy this review.